This time the new thing is we also streaming this to YouTube. Who are not in Discord can join, and also like for later watching, and so people can also like either comment here on Discord, also over at YouTube, and we've been looking at both places to see if there's any like input stuff like that.
Oh, very nice.
So everybody's got to tell a story that will get us banned from YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
That should be pretty hard. Like,
and general chat stuff. If hey, Danny's here, Danny's in the house. If people want to chat, probably better place to chat would be inside YouTube, right? Kind of. But if you write stuff in Discord, it's also fine. Right? No? Is that not what we said, Lucas?
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can write in Discord, but yeah, YouTube is cool.
Very cool. All right. Ooh. Oh. Cool. All right. I need to be self-conscious that I'm on the internet.
On the internet. Everything is
About
recorded.
time.
Nothing is forgotten.
All right. So, Lucas, take it away. What do we start with? Or are we still waiting? How about we start with just a bit of wasting time of the next 5 minutes until people assemble and people just tell us, like, there's a lot of new faces, I think.
Yeah, there are not of new faces. That's why we can just do a general. Yeah, for those who don't know, one of the people with the horns is Daniel, who's our chief writer, chief idea guy. And the other lovely face is Nadav, who's just the brain of operation and makes sure that nothing burns down instantly.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's nice. We already also some people on YouTube, not just Discord. And yeah, we wait a bit until people arrive, but for the thing we'll do definitely is introduce the upcoming set for November, which is going to be Saurian Isles, which looks amazing. Like complete shift again from setting to setting, but still go into the adventure. Like for the Spelljammer fans out there, like the things we concocted. And then also just some Q&As, either new people or people having questions about the Kickstarter or upcoming set. And then we have some fun announcement. One is the return of the painting competitions. Starting next month and being a regular occurrence. And the other big thing is, since we reached, I think last month was this Nadav, the 1,000 subscriber mark.
Yeah, we're already higher, yep.
Yeah, we do create a mini thing where, like, for the next month, anybody who's subscribed to us, be it Tribes or Patron, can a mini. So that means we have a file prepared where you can put in ideas, send them to us, and sooner or later, if it fits a set and like jams with something, we'll try to turn it into a miniature.
A very important caveat here. These will be heavily modified to whatever we think that is needed. So if you're too attached to something, please don't be, because it probably won't come out the same. Yeah, we'll go through the explanation of the whole process later.
Yeah, and before we jump in, Nadav, Rod writes on YouTube that he can't access the Discord channel. So
he cannot.
No. Well, now he's stuck in. But
he cannot access Discord, as in like our server.
I assume so.
Okay, so we'll make a link that you can here. Well, you can make a link too, and we just post it on the description of the YouTube video.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think with that, welcome everybody. I hope you're having a nice Halloween weekend. And Nadav, take it off.
Right. So hello. I'm just gonna stall for time by asking, does anybody have a very cool mini like that. We're just going to start with the. Oh, by the way, important. If people have any questions, please do post them either on the YouTube chat or in the general chat, and we'll try to answer them throughout the video as they come along. What else? Yeah, I think that's it, right? So does anybody have, before we start, we're just going to take like 5 minutes. Does anybody have on the Discord, anybody who's here with the audio, anybody have any kind of Halloween sets that really excited them, or any Halloween things that have happened, like any cool Kickstarters or anything like that that we should know about, that people should check? This will be the time to share. So if anybody wants to pick up the mic, go ahead.
Can I? It's not. It's adjacent. It's not a mini. Can you hear me? Yes.
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 we
Cool. So yesterday, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities came on, and holy shit, there's some good stuff in there. Kind of horrifying stuff, but good stuff for Halloween. So yeah, worth a look.
Nice.
Actually, there's an artist that took part in one of it, and I just saw his artwork in our Discord, just for inspiration. Like, they used actual puppetry, not CGI.
What? Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
That's
Go ahead and post that in the general chat.
Was one of the episodes Pinocchio? Because I seen Del Toro was doing a puppetry. I didn't get to that one yet. I think it's one of them, but I'm not all the way through.
I'm going to take the chance also to give a shout out to Great Grimoire. Do you guys know Anna and her designs?
Yeah.
She's doing a Frontier now. She's a great friend of ours. And they're also in Russia now, and it's really tough there. And so that's why they're doing a Frontiers and not a Kickstarter, because Kickstarter doesn't let Russian people do anything, obviously. For the Griologist, it looks like a fantastic campaign. Like, the minis are amazing, and she just deserves all the love. So do go check that out.
What is it called?
Can you post the link in the general chat?
I will find it when we start talking about it later. I'll post it for sure. Okay, some news and announcements. So, first of all, welcome to everybody who's here. There was a new video by Grayscalp, kind of doing his review of how do you call them? I should know. Astral Voyage, the current set, the current collection. So if Lucas, you can please post that there. Also, Don Soratos did a really nice painting guide of some metallic stuff, which was very cool. The painting competition will go over later. And other stuff in Mammoth News. We've updated the print setting stuff, just kind of from the people who are here in the chat or in YouTube or whatever. Did you guys see the print settings? Have you tried them? Any kind of feedback about the print setting document? Or if you don't even know what I'm talking about, that's also good feedback. Anybody?
I've always used my own settings, so not really.
Right. Okay.
Same here. Yeah. I didn't really look into updates.
Fair enough. Okay, so if anybody does use it for whatever reason, it would be great if we can get some more feedback about it as we continue. Yeah. What else? Kickstarter fulfillment updates for those here who are from the Kickstarter. We are going to release the decimated minis of all of the collections of Book 1, of the Kickstarter of Book 1, except from Everdune. Everdune is because we're redoing some stuff on it. But apart from that, all those files should come on the 2nd of November. And all the adventures, the reformatted PDFs, are going to be released on the 10th. Big caveat here. They're going to be released without a lot of the stretch goals, meaning that things like area maps and art covers that are full color and all these kind of things that were stretch goals we're just gonna keep updating the PDFs on My Mini Factory as we go, and we're gonna try to update those as best as we can, and like to keep people informed that when the thing comes out. But it will be very clear when it's like the final thing, because it's going to be one PDF that has everything.
Nice.
That will be accessible to the Kickstarter people. Good note for people and stuff. Those will be updated individually, but you won't get the PDF that has everything, obviously, because that's a separate product. But it has everything that the big PDF has, except from, I guess, table of contents or something like that, right? There isn't any content that the patrons are not getting. All the adventures, like including proofreads that we've been doing over the last few months with thank you to all our proofreaders. You've been amazing. Updates to, we had one creature that had AC 26, and that's obviously, that doesn't fly because it was an dude NPC from Skinwalkers. It was our second adventure.
Yeah.
And just all these kind of balancing out those kind of things have been updated. So that should come on the 10th. Hopefully, that should be all the PDFs of book one that are updated. And also good for the patrons. All the files from book one have been redecimated to be much lighter files. So you can download them, store them, and all that kind of stuff way quicker. Apologies for no. We didn't know what we were doing. That fixed. So that was a lot of work. Michael, kudos to Michael, the Arcane Gearsmith, for doing that. He's done an amazing job of decimating all of book one within a month, on top of doing all of our support work. So big kudos to Michael. What else? That's kind of it. I mean, we people maybe should know that we have a blog that we post on our website, and both on My Mini Factory we do little articles. It's coming out in the newsletter. If you get the newsletter on our website, that we give one STL every month out of the collection that we do. What else? Yeah, I think that's basically it. So we can move on to the next thing, unless people have questions. If anybody has questions, please write it down. Is there any questions?
Yeah, what's the timeline on Roll20 in the book? Physical book? We're going to include all these updates in it.
Of course. So, of course, the physical book will be as final as we can make it. And so we can't even get quotes on the physical book before we finished all the digital stuff, right? For the book. So we're still waiting on that. We're still on time. Like, we're actually, if people read the Kickstarter timeline, we're actually delivering a month in advance all the digital stuff, including, of course, the stretch goals. Roll20 stuff, I think, should be done within this month, so by December, which is exactly on time, which is what we assumed it would take. We're like, I mean, a lot of those adventures are already in Roll20, which I know it's a bit frustrating, because you're like, oh, I wish I could have this already because it's already released. But the good news is that we're getting some bugs that we're flattening out, so you'll get like fully fleshed out versions. And we also want to deliver thing to you guys. Instead of you getting like 8 different updates every time something is released. So by December, you should be getting those. The other good news is about, for anybody who uses Foundry, we found a guy that his name is Brandon, and he's fantastic, and he might be here. Is he here? I can't see if he's here.
I haven't seen.
He is here.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? If maybe not. Maybe he's half here. But he's going to be doing our Foundry conversions. We're very excited for it. He did a fantastic conversion of Bloodlords and just very excited to see where that goes. And if any of you have any insight into the Foundry market and how to utilize it, we don't really know too much about it. I mean, obviously, Brandon does, but we understand how to, because Roll20 is just a marketplace and you can just sell there. So if you have any input on that, please do write about it in the general chat. That'll be very helpful. As we are expanding the Mammoth universe. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Any other questions? No? Cool. All right. So with that, I think we can go to the next thing, with this a little preview of the adventure that this month, which is the Astral Voyage. So Daniel, take it away, and we will show a few different visuals here on the Discord and on YouTube of what the PDF looks like, and just talk a little bit about the adventure. Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Astral Voyage is it's space. It's the final frontier, right? I don't know what may have clued you in, like if it has, but it might be a Spelljammer-ish adventure, right? So yeah, it's one of those things that we kind of planned to do a while ago, and then the opportunity to do it sort of rolled around when Spelljammer, hit, right? So we had a lot of like ideas about what we wanted to do with things like Gith and the usual kind of mind flayery kind of creature. And a lot of that stuff has kind of made it in here. And there's a few things we may have to like chuck elsewhere. But yeah, the adventure itself it's a bit of a weird one, right? We knew it was going to be like slightly difficult to fit into an ongoing story arc, right? And we kind of decided that actually it's best run in a kind of in media res style, right? Where you have the players basically after having been mind whammied, right, by like a thought eater overseer, right? They wake up after having been basically psychically enthralled for a few weeks, right? On board a thought eater ship, right? And they have no idea what's going on, right? They have no idea where they are. They have a weird thing on their forehead, and their initial goal, right, is just like figure out what's going on, and it evolves from there into a kind of quest, right? Because the idea is they've been taken off the material plane, they're now in the astral sea, right? And they've got to kind of navigate their way back, and doing that basically involves kind of chumming around with a ship of Gith, and basically trying to find a way to recover the memories they've lost in the meantime, right? So that they remember, for example,
Thought Eater
fortresses that they've been kind of coming and going from while under its under like their control, right? How to kind of how to attack it and how to like get to the portal that they have in there, so they can get back to the material plane, right? Yeah. So generally speaking, we decided to go with a lot of the classic kind of Spelljammer stuff, right?
Thought Eater.
Do a bit of playing around with them, right? Like the
Not mind flayers, not Gith. Yes.
not Gith, not mind flayers, not Gith, right? Thought eaters, right? Here we go. They're similar creatures, right?
They are
so
different. They are different.
They are different. They are different. You're right. Yeah. So the thought eaters, right, are we decided to go with a different kind of backstory for them, right? The idea is that like these are the kind of these are kind of people who kind of colonized the ago, and after being kicked out into like the void between realms, like the madness space, right? The kind of Lovecraftian nightmare realm. They've sort of come back in this new shape, right? Like this kind of post-human, squiddy human, psychic-y kind of form, and they're kind of they've returned to like spread their madness and their evil across all the realms, right? So yeah, a lot of stuff in there is it's a very kind of open quest, right? It's like you are dropped in the Astral Sea, and you have a chance to like decide, wait, where do I go? What am I doing? How am I solving this problem?
Yeah, I want to say that I just posted in the general chat the page with the big map, the overview map, which is beautiful. Maybe you can go into that a bit.
In the general chat, where is that exactly?
That's up top.
General chat of Discord.
Yeah.
General chat of Discord. Is that in? Oh, the public one. Okay, cool. Yeah, right. So there should be a version of this actually that is like hidden with stuff that that you can give to players, right? Because there's stuff in here that is hidden, right? So we went with this kind of the idea of like the kind of local bubble of like an area in the Astral Sea, right? So we weren't going to map the whole thing. It's theoretically infinite, right? But the idea is you after kind of getting off the first like
Thought Eater.
Right? You end up on a stolen Thought Eater ship with these gear, right? So the Ink Blossom, right? And you basically kind of learn where you are and what kind of places you can go to and what the stakes are, and then you have all these different areas you can try and visit, right? So like you have the idea is you have like somebody saying something. No, okay. So you have this like the Ruby Belt, right? Is this massive like debris field that kind of rings around this this huge sort of storm, right? This massive like eye type thing in the middle. The idea is it's called the Ruby Belt because this huge eye like maelstrom thing puts out constant like red light, and so all the kind of glittering bits of debris, they pick up this light and the whole thing shines red from a distance, right? And city, the Silver Spear, and you have this kind of the huge asteroid field on one side, and there's kind of like a bit of time management here, right, in terms of how fast you're traveling and stuff like that, and how many encounters do you want to hit on the way, and how much peril you want to be in, right? So, like for example, if you want to get to Silver Spear, there's traveling through the Ruby Belt, which is longer, and there's kind of more scavengers and pirates in the area, but you go for this 6-hour route where you do the kind of gravity slingshot right around the maelstrom.
Nice.
Right? And of course that's difficult, right? It requires a bunch. It's a kind of a skill challenge. It requires a bunch of rolls. It can really mess up the ship you're on if you don't do very well at it. So it's a bit of a risk reward kind of thing, right? Then you have the Dasnamun.
Friends, anybody? No.
I'm sorry now.
We'll leave it out there. We'll leave it out there.
Just leave it out there.
Yeah. So you have the kind of
Thought Eater
fortress, which is the idea is it's on the edge of this storm, right? It uses this huge
Thought Eater
maelstrom. Sorry, Thought Eater fortress. Yeah, it uses the storm as like a way of hiding itself, right? So the public version of this map doesn't have like the Dasnomun or the Swiftwing wreck on there, right? That stuff is kind of things that players discover as they go along, right? So, yeah, this is the map, and it's again it's like primarily about getting kind of back home, but it's kind of like having all these misadventures on the way, right?
And the final showdown is then in Dasnomon in this.
That's right.
citadel.
Yes. Yeah. That is a battle between the players and like the kind of the
Thought Eater.
Thought Eaters and their servants, right? In this, yeah, I know, the dance face. The Thought Eaters and their servants. Yeah.
Funny. And I would say one of the most interesting things about writing something like this is the challenge was to how do you like quantify space? How do you make it?
Yeah.
How do you make it feel like you can go anywhere while like so you have loads of options, but there are clear options, and that's why area maps in this particular adventure is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those kind of ones where, like, if you don't have a map, it's you. I think this kind of adventure wouldn't really work, right? Because otherwise you just don't feel like you're sailing through space, right? You just feel like you're kind of like you're selecting a bunch of options on a panel or something, right?
And there are different MacGuffins in the different places why I need to go here to say that. And it also ties nicely into the main adventure of book 2, as this is chapter 4 of book 2, right?
Yeah, this is the 4th. So this is where the characters would actually the kind of 3 main MacGuffins that they're looking for. This is where they would find the last one, right? And the one the adventure we're going to talk about a little bit after this, is the kind of is the kind of penultimate sort of near climax one where they have all the parts and they can go off to find the Horde of Gorndal, right? So there's also actually one thing about this was how to make it feel somewhat tied in, right, to the rest of the story, because it is, it's hugely different, right? It's you get thrown out into space, you have to you have to find your way back, and that's it's just a very different experience from the usual kind of D&D thing of going to a place to do a quest to find a thing, whatever. But what we managed to do was one of the ideas in this is that there is there are things here from the kind of the previous era, right, when it's more common and things were more magical, right? So you can find stuff from the material plane that is kind of lost, like old history things that are not around anymore on the actual.
So there's still a connection with the rest of the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea is in one of the kind of markets in Silverspear, if you're running the whole campaign, you can have the players notice there is this aura, right? Because the kind of the official world this goes on is called the aura, right? But if you're running this in your own setting, it could be the codex, whatever, right? Whatever your world is called. And the idea is it would have within it a load of interesting historical kind of documents all pushed together. And there's a list of kind of things related to the main campaign that people can find out in there.
That's sweet.
And it's for DMs to go, well, now the players have this big lore chronicle thing that when they want to know something or I want to give them a hint, I can kind of make them roll and go through it, right? Or and
you give them Google.
Point them. Yeah. It's like you can give them a pointer, right? So
yeah. Very nice. All right. This running this adventure definitely felt very alien at the end. Or especially at the beginning, you don't know where you are, you don't remember, you feel hijacked, which makes it very nice as when you're just thrown into it and you're like, wait a minute, why are we here? What is all this shit? And you don't even realize you're in space at the beginning because you're in a room. So until you get out to the room, you're kind of like,
I think at first everyone assumed. I think at first. When we first playtested this, I think at first everybody assumed, because of the way we described the
Thought Eater
ship.
There should be a jar.
Yeah. Because the way we described the ship, I think a lot of the playtesters actually thought they were inside a Tarask or something, or because I think at one point I did say you say it at the end, but I think at one point I did say it's all made of the ceiling's made of ribby kind of gelatinous.
Yeah, they thought they were they're in a creature. Yeah, that's true.
Point like in Alien.
Yeah.
Well,
3 strikes for IP.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we can. Alien is not IP, is it?
No, you cannot be sued for Alien.
No. Is there any questions about the adventure before we move to our next bit?
Go on. Anything.
Ask how would a DM set up for first time doing something?
I've got one question.
Oh,
we still on?
Danny just
you can't hear us. Oh,
no, I don't think so.
think maybe Elan is
Oh, wait,
super delayed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Danny. Yeah, what was your question?
I want to ask how would a DM approach a like Lorway's what does he need to know for running a session in
Whew. I think, to be honest, like you don't need to actually know that much. We did design this so that if you want to take the adventure and just do it with a new group, or do it as a one shot, it provides all the information you need, right? There is a segment in there about like how the gravity weirdness works in the astral sea, right? Where like you can you can kind of choose your own orientation in relation to kind of what surfaces you're on, right? Because the I don't know if it's done in any official kind of material anymore, but one of the older kind of things in kind of the defined astral space, right, in stuff, is the idea that like thought is powerful, right? It's kind of the psychic realm, right? And you can use it to kind of throw yourself around and that kind of thing. And this is not actually space, right? It looks like space, right? And there is actually a thing here in the adventure kind of literally called like space, but not space or something like that, right? Things like explosive decompression are not really an issue, right? Everything has an atmosphere, even a very thin one, and it's an odd sort of really the space thing is an aesthetic, to be completely real. There's a few mechanics that kind of like that work into that, like the stuff with the spaceship, the stuff with being able to throw yourself around with your mind, that kind of thing, right? But really, I think up the adventure and go with it. Really.
And I would say the other thing to keep in mind is that because I was also very intimidated when we first started to think about this, the concept of spell of jamming of in space or whatever is usually higher level stuff where you can cast fly and you can do I don't know all sorts of things, right? That are because it feels like a much bigger thing. And one of the main things we wanted to do is to spelljammer related content more accessible for people, to make it lower level and to make it like something that you don't need to get to 14th level to even try to play, right? And I think that's good.
Yeah.
So from space we go primeval, right? With the next set.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Should some basilisks into the chat.
I haven't seen those. I want to see those.
I haven't seen those. Amazing. So we need to basically give a little bit of context here. Whoa. Okay, cool. So explain kind of what happens as they arrive to the island, or
okay, so yeah, we can jump straight into talking about the next adventure or the next set, right? Yeah,
just a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And this is a whole new arc, correct?
No. Well,
no.
It's a whole new adventure.
Chapter.
Yeah, it is still part of the same Horde of Gondor arc, right? Oh, not arc, overarching kind of campaign story thing, right? The last one in that through line will be
will come up in December.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Saurian Isles is the next, and it is a complete departure from Spelljammer kind of stuff. So the idea is after gathering together these artifacts, right? The players have found and the various other adventures they've gone on, they finally can use all three of them to locate where the Horde of Gondor is, right? So Gondor being a kind of ancient dragon lord, right? A grossly powerful, a grossly wealthy worm of the Elder Days. That like his kind of treasure vault is legendary, right? It's supposedly full of all the cool stuff, right?
He did all the casino heists and got away.
Yeah, he got away with everything. He got away with everything until the end. Yeah. And the idea is, so it locates the this, basically these artifacts locate this thing on a distant isle that the players have to kind of sail off onto. And the idea is these islands are actually they're actually kind of the highlands of a larger landmass that during kind of one of the old D&D style cataclysms that rocked the world a long time ago, most of the actual land kind of just fell into the ocean, and you've got these like large very kind of sparsely vegetated, very rocky small islands in the area, right? And kind of one of the things that the players pretty much figure out as they get, or we should think as they approach, that there ain't nothing on this island except basilisks. Lots and lots of basilisks. Which
three different sizes of basilisks.
Three different sizes of basilisks.
They kind of look like the same, but there's technically. So we were very surprised when we looked at basilisks the first time. We were like, "Wait a minute, basilisks are 25mm bases." We were like, "What?
That's tiny. That's
yeah.
tiny.
Why are they so small?" It was really surprising and disappointing. So we're like, "Nah, we're just gonna do a few different sizes." And we also made them much more terrifying because they can swim like motherfuckers now. So we made swim adjacent and mountain climbing adjacent basilisks, depending on their size.
I think we've made we're calling them, what are we calling them? Aquatic basilisks or something like that. Yeah. Basilisks.
Yeah, we don't have a good. Do we have a good name for them yet? Anybody wants to just aquatic basilisk name? Go for it. We're still open to suggestions, right? Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, and the idea is that you get into the island and you try to understand how to go deeper into the island and to find the horde, and there you meet your next enemy, which Lucas can share now.
Which would be?
Which are some of so many times when people do Lizardman to Warhammer, right? And no offense to Warhammer people here, we didn't exactly want to do that because we're like, how many times have we seen Mayan, kind of style lizard folk, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I think our stuff is still adjacent to it to some extent.
It's adjacent, but they feel very different, and the reason they feel different is because of their location. They are Underdark lizard folk, and canonically speaking, they're also glow stick. how would you say this? Like bioluminescent.
Bioluminescent.
Yeah. So they look quite pale, but if they're in the dark, they glow in these kind of ultralight colors, like a bit ravies. If that makes sense.
So that means I get to use my fluorescent paints again.
Oh
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh shit, that's the spider.
Yeah. So there's a few things going on here. One is that they go in the dark and stuff, and they're smart and all this kind of stuff, but they live symbiotically. Can you say?
Yeah.
Or harmonically with two different types of creatures. One creature is phase spiders, which everybody loves, or it's one of my favorite personal takes on spiders. So they ride phase spiders, and there's also a spider queen here somewhere. That's the Spider Queen. She is so dope. And I think she's 75, 100? 75. And they also live harmonically with giant or different size of Underdark mushrooms, which is one of my favorite themes. And Daniel makes fun of me all the time about liking mushrooms, but I don't care. But they are spell absorbing, disrupting mushrooms, which makes for very interesting. So even though the lizard folk are not necessarily very strong, the environment makes it quite challenging to take them on. They have sleep darts, they have all sorts of things. So it feels like a low-level enemy in a challenging environment. and they have a shaman, so there's spellcasting going on and all that kind of fun stuff.
What is in the shaman's hand, though? What is that thing?
It's the when he's riding, he has a big. It's like a conch, like a big, not conch, like a big shell. You know, there are islanders in the end of the day. So it's some big. I think it was supposed to be. What's the name? There's a name for the sea creature. Ancient sea creature.
Sponge, coral.
Is it
This
is
thing
it
you have in Pokemon.
It's not
right?
Nautiloid.
No, I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the name of it.
Yeah, they're an aberration. They're a what's the word?
We're infecting people with
Somebody
that.
should
That's what's
know.
happening.
Are you talking about an avalanche?
No, just the normal sea
This is
creatures.
literally a normal sea creature. Yeah, it's just like an ancient. There's a Pokemon called
Yes.
Oh,
like
a horseshoe crab?
Ammonite.
Ammonite. Thank you. So, but what is that? Ammonite is a real word, or is that the Pokemon name?
It's the Pokemon.
It's the Pokemon name, right? Like, who cares about real knowledge? We know we have Pokemon knowledge. Beat me.
No, that's a division of animals.
It is
Ammonite.
Yeah, extinct, but yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah, it's spelled different. Yeah.
So there are smaller lizard folk and there are bigger lizard folk. They're both kind of like 25 millimeter scale, not 25, sorry, 25 millimeter bases, but their scales are 28 and 33 respectively, I think.
Well, they're the same scale. They're the same.
The same scale,
I'm
sorry.
smaller, yeah.
Yes.
So, like, you can see that this guy here, this guy with the axe, right? He pokes out of his base because he's huge compared to like the other ones, right?
Look at that pretty boy. Look at him.
Do you have any big lizards with 50 millimeters of bases?
Not lizard folk.
No. I mean, the basilisks are kind of supposed to be lizardy, so they're kind of from the same. And some of them became big, brutey animals. Some of them became like humanoids. That's kind of the idea. But yes, no. Sadly, no.
No Croxigors.
No what?
No
No
Croxigors. Yeah.
Croxigors.
Yeah, but we have there are some busts, so you can paint so these guys are bigger, which is nice. There is also a very big piece of this puzzle that is missing. Is that all the renders, Lucas?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, cool.
Is
So-
Jarek not there? Okay.
Oh, really? Jarex and Cyrus are not there?
I have not
Okay.
seen them.
So there are two NPC minis that are fantastic, and one of them is David is here, or is David? David is here. Okay, go. David, you can speak. Hello, David. Do you have a camera? No.
No.
Okay.
Jared and the other guy is in Omega.
They are on Mega?
Yes.
The BIP or the PNG?
No, the PNG.
Lucas, if
Let
you
me
can
check. Yeah.
try to find them. Yeah. So these two are very cool, and just so you guys know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of them is like a lot of we've made. He is from our official playtesters. It's our thank you gift to them. So we made minis of the people who have been playtesting all this fantastic stuff, so you don't have to, or so you don't die when you
In
play
fact,
these games.
all of the three playtest minis that have been made so far, their players are in here. Can anyone guess who they are?
3?
Yeah, Lucas, Danny, and Elon. Yeah.
No, Elon didn't have us yet.
Oh, you're right. That's true. That's true.
It's me.
Oh, it's you.
It's me.
Yeah. Oops.
Someone's close to the plate. So.
One of them is this guy, right?
Hey, no, show us closer.
Let's
Closer,
see.
closer. Do you have like a book you can put behind it or something?
Nice. Yeah. One of them is indeed that guy, yeah.
That's so cool. Look at that. There, that's fantastic. Super cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then the other guy that is made this month is Jarax, who is not BBEG, but one of the main villains of the whole campaign.
He's a recurring villain that turns up in almost every one of the adventures, right?
Should be, well, kind of nearly. Well, depends how you play them. The big thing that you will not see a preview of today, sadly, because we kind of underestimated this set a little bit, so it will come a little bit late. Because also the ship that we made, I don't know if some of you printed it, I know some of you did, but the ship was such a big hurdle that it caused delays. Where, I mean, let's not even start talking about supporting that thing. That was a nightmare. But basically, we are making another big dragon. So should we tell them about the theme of it for next time, maybe?
Oh, we can go with it. Oh, I just saw the renders for Jared and Simon. They actually look like they belong on the same team.
Yeah.
And you don't know who's crossing to whose side.
Yes, this is true. There's going to be a very big dragon also in this set that is not here, sadly.
Gondol the Greedy.
Gondol the Greedy. It's also an alliteration. You must be happy.
Why do you think I went for it?
Okay, cool. So that would be the end of the previews for next month's set.
Yeah. Any first impressions by people?
Yeah, please.
I'm just getting ideas because I've seen the mushrooms on a virtual tabletop. But I'm thinking it'd be cool if you put LEDs inside.
Would be cool.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yes. We're gonna do that.
What I found is actually really effective as well is you can buy basically an LED platform that they go on top, and if you print in clear resin, it actually diffuses the light really well. So you do like like an alcohol wash or any kind of other wash to them rather than a traditional paint, and they light up really well, really beautiful.
Yeah, you can get them pretty cheap online. They're just called, and they're just like basically battery powered color change.
Oh, cool.
Like flints.
Yeah.
Can you share a link?
Oh, see, that's just little fake candles.
I absolutely love the mounted spiders. One little complaint would be the shells and axes looking very similar on two of the lizard men.
There's an annoying reason for that. The reason for this is because the way we make our designs are also supposed to be used for a war party, and war parties have specific rules, right? So if you did want to use it for some sort of war game, they need to be unanimous, which is a shame, but it's also true. So to try to appease a lot of people, this is what we do, and we maybe one of the stretch goals for Kickstarter 2 would be like adding some modularity and some weapons to some sets. I'm putting ourselves all in here. David's probably David, like, you don't know where I live now, so you can't come and kill me. But this might be some of the stretch goals for Kickstarter 2, is to do that for book 1, book 2.
Have you told David about turning everything into a 75mm thing as well?
The what?
Have you already told David he's turning everything into 75mm as well?
Oh yeah, no, we I mean, yes, David is the one actually pushing for that. I should be honest. I mean, one of the things that David is so good at, because he comes from the collectibles industry, and he's used to making things incredibly, correct and detailed, and anatomically expressive, and like fantastic dynamic positions. He's been pushing us to be like, oh yeah, we should make everything into 75mm things because we put enough detail on them to be 75. And the truth is, and that's what we hope to do. So we're kind of doing the background work for the time that we can do that. So either 1,500 or 2,000 Patreons. That's the mark when we will start doing that.
Get him told, David.
Thank you.
No, David wants to do this.
Sure. I because like I said,
I'm the one who says we can't do it yet.
exactly. So our miniature have a really lot of detail. So why do we don't take advantage of that? I mean,
Yeah, I've just been upscaling stuff myself. That's why the sheer 75mm. I did that myself.
Oh, is she 75?
Yes.
Holy shit!
Nice.
Nice.
Was
Was it
wondering
hard?
how you got the eyes so good.
Yeah.
How do you do that on a 28mm mini?
Cheating. Amazing. Cheating. Yeah, fantastic. That's awesome. Any other questions about?
Sorry. I even want to push a little bit more the 75mm because I really would like to do some for 75mm, and I think I can put a lot of details, and I think it can be another project. I don't know.
And then as soon as we get 75mm, everyone's going to want to go bigger as well.
120.
Yeah, we're bigger. One of the interesting things, I think it was one of the rampages we did, it was people were like, some people wanted big, but I actually of certain things. So that also might be something we revisit. But not right now, as we're starting to fulfill book one. It's a lot more work than, like, one of the reasons maybe we weren't as active as we were in the previous months is because we're dealing with doing two things. One is like bringing a Kickstarter to fruition, planning our next Kickstarter, which we have a date for. I'm not going to reveal it. But yeah, we're already planning Kickstarter 2 and dates and starting to work out how to figure that out. But we definitely want to make sure that Kickstarter 1 is fulfilled properly before Kickstarter 2 launches, because quality first, right? Is anything else that people want to talk about? Something very important. I completely forgot. The Astral Voyage. See, Daniel, that's how you do it. The Astral Voyage adventure. You guys probably saw a beautiful ship map that is based on our actual model, which is very cool. And it's made by the one and only Zach Muller Maps. If you don't know this VTT map designer, he makes gorgeous maps. And we've done a collaboration with him. And also, I think nobody else on the team know this, but we have an interior map of that ship as well, which we will throw like as a bonus thing inside that adventure, that if DMs want to kind of explore the ship more, there are more chambers to it. Sorry, Daniel. But it looks fantastic, and we're very, very proud of these ships, and we hope to collaborate more with that feature. And also there are two maps featured by Meditating Monkey, which is also a fantastic creator, which we collaborated in the past with. One of the maps in the Wild Hunt was made by him, and he does fantastic maps as well. So, but Zach is just a newer thing, so I wanted to make sure that he gets the credit for it.
Zach here. Cheers. Just one.
You're here.
And, you're here with you guys.
I didn't know you were here. That's so funny. Fantastic.
Enjoy the maps.
It's
so
gorgeous.
There's
I
so
absolutely
beautiful.
are.
Yes, great work,
folks.
No problem. I literally had no idea he was there. That's so funny. Cool. What else? Shall we go to the next order of
Yeah, I
business?
think like before we go into our like themes, whoever wants, we have like 2 announcement kind of things where also maybe we take a bit of feedback. And one thing which people have been asking for is the return of the painting competition. And I'll just put a PDF of like the bare bone like rules we have so far into the general chat. Yeah, maybe in Dav you can go over those a bit.
Sure. Do please have a look. These are not set in stone. We want your feedback. That's one of the things we would love to hear your take. So if people don't mind, are you also opening it for the screen?
It's on YouTube as well.
So basically, so the requirements are to post a picture of a mini by us that you Facebook or Instagram by the 28th of that month. There's a hashtag for every month, and the winners will be announced the following day. You must be a current Patreon or tribe member to participate in these competition, and the resident prizes only go to the EU, Canada, and the US. Sadly, very sorry.
Can't you just send them to Daniel, and then Daniel will post them on to people in the UK?
Oh, right. Can somebody look? That's good. That's good feedback.
It's a PDF, but on the other one it will say Europe. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, good. Good catch. The first place will get 1 liter Mirror Labs resin, and you'll be pinned on our Instagram and featured on our Zoom newsletter. And then second and third get 0.5 liter of Mirror Labs resin, and also featured on our newsletter. And all participants, anybody who submits anything, get bust throwback from. We will start with the Ever Dune set. So if people you've been supporting us for a very long time, you probably have it. But I've recently checked, it's only 20% of our users are still from back then. And then we'll just continue month by month, and we'll probably put on Discord, Patreon, where people vote which bust will be a throwback to the painting competition. So people can choose. Is there any feedback about this? The main criteria is composition, technique, and creativity. And one of the places will be dedicated to creativity and not necessarily like technique, which means that even if you're a beginner and you just did something completely wacky and it makes us laugh, maybe an interesting composition or a little video or whatever, just be a wacky paint job. Like we had this guy submit, it wasn't a competition then, but he just submitted like this rainbow dragon, which was nuts. So that would probably get a lot of brownie points. So don't feel intimidated by all these masters that paint in our channels. New painters are welcome to. Any questions about this, or any ideas, suggestions?
Okay, 2 questions stroke ideas coming from another patron that runs a painting competition. They allow their patrons to vote on the winner. So
interesting.
That's an option.
How do they do it?
It's a Patreon locked post.
Sure, but how do they showcase?
They put a poll up, and they showcase the entries on Instagram and in Patreon.
We post all of the submissions on Instagram?
They post a
single image with multiple options?
I'd have to check it, but they select one image from each entry, and certainly on the Patreon post.
I would love to see that. If you can take a screenshot of that, that'd be great. Would be happy.
I think that would be a really good idea for the creative one. Just post all the community pick, whichever one I think is the most creative.
And the other thing I was going to say from the same people is if you win one month, you don't get to win the next month.
I like it. I like it. I mean,
It
yeah,
might even be 3 months, but I can't remember exactly. But
fantastic. That's a good
very
idea.
good feedback.
Yeah, if you do remember who it's by, then please do share.
Yeah, and I had the question once, like maybe split it up between like singles and more like what's the name?
Dioramas.
Yeah, dioramas. But I think that was something we might do like later on. But first was like the turnout, and it's a regular thing before we spread things out into categories.
I think it's fair to say that if something is done exceptionally well, regardless if you win the painting competition, you'll probably be featured on our Kickstarter. So if that's anything, that's going to be pretty cool.
I think with that, the other thing on the list would be the make a mini document that we threw together.
Right. So coming soon to a post near you. There's gonna be we're gonna post how do you call it? I think it's Google Sketch or Google whatever it's called. It's one of the Google Docs, Google List, Google whatever. Right. There's a format that allows you to put images and arrows and sticky notes, and we've created a template. Lucas, can you show? Or should I share my screen and show? Can you show my screen?
I've just put it on the general chat, but just so you know, like the one on general is just. I'll grab the other one later on. I have to look.
Right, and I would also I mean, this is just a preview. I actually maybe we shouldn't show a PDF here.
How do you mean?
Well, it's a preview of what it would look like. It's not final, and some of the rules might change. And
exactly, this is also for input. That's why, like, we'll delete both of those later and like send updated ones through Patreon.
So the idea is basically, feel free to take this. The submission is by the end of November. Again, remember we will adapt these submissions, but. We're looking to expand our NPC line dramatically. So, it might take it 6 months, and there's also a good chance that we probably won't make all the submissions, but we hope to get to most of them when we can, and if they're good. But because now the NPCs that we released, the Mammoth Heroes. It used to be called Mammoth Brigades. We changed it to Mammoth Heroes. They don't have to do with the set anymore, so it doesn't need to fit. So it's kind of easier to put them there. So the idea is that you choose a body type, you choose a face, you choose a pose, you choose a weapon, you choose some items. And you just drop some images and some descriptions. And when you're done with it, you send an image roughly like that to that email address, and from the there will be a document that you can just make a copy of, and then and it's important that you use the document. Things that are submitted without the document won't be considered. Why? Because it kind of forces a specific kind of limitation. Not like we hope that people won't be like, yeah, I want like 16 types of knives, right? Like try to make it reasonable, of course, and also try to make it something that could feel like an NPC and a general high fantasy thing. So if you do something like I don't know, a two-headed snake thing, that's not really a 25 millimeter base kind of normal D&D NPC mini, right? It's the idea is that it should be NPCable. Let's put it. Is there any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question. What are the limitations on self-drawn concept art?
There aren't any, except from the fact that we will be using probably our our own. Like we will put it through our to the artist anyway. So like I said, if you're worried about it changing, it probably will. If you're saying you're talking about multiple submissions, that's your question.
No, instead of like finding everything piece by piece, I would just be able to draw
If you,
all this.
sure,
that I would-
yeah, go for it. That's fine. Again, we might still adapt it, right? The fact that it's made in a better way doesn't mean we won't adapt it. But if it's if it's if you find a single image that has everything there, or if you draw a single image, that's fantastic, and that's great as long as it's clear. Maybe if it's drawn to what detail you would draw it, so maybe try to show references anyway for like textures or like what material it is, right? Even if it's just text. But yeah, that's great. I mean, that would be super helpful.
I've just put in an example.
In the general chat.
Space.
Yeah, that's a very hungry person. All right. Is there any other questions about this? I think it should be said that like don't submit more than one. Right? Is that a thing we're saying? No. Don't submit more than 3. But we won't take more than 1 per person anyway. So let's say don't submit more than 3. I don't think that will happen, but maybe people like making characters, right? Who might
People like making characters, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it might take us months to do this because we only do 2 a month, and we will definitely be starting with some of our VIPs from our Kickstarter, but there's only 3, so we'll start with those 3, and once we're done with those, then we'll go and that's actually something we can make that a vote in Patreon. Which ones? Sorry? Hello? Did somebody speak?
Yes. Don't know who.
Oh, maybe it was the background noise.
Maybe. Yeah.
About this?
Well, yeah, Daniel.
Oh no, that was me like visually saying like, yes, give us your thoughts. So we don't have open hands.
Yeah.
Come to me.
One thought
That's exactly the pose the stickman had, Daniel.
Yeah. Like one thing about that is like out as like this design document by Google, so you can really just copy that document, will make it clear. Like copy that document and work in it. Like replace the template.
Throw images, change the text. Yeah. Exactly. Cool. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. This was shorter and a bit more effective than the usual thing, and we will be doing now a brainstorm. But the brainstorm will be held. So it's for everybody on Discord. We will be posting a link to a mirror board, and we will be brainstorming goblinoids, which is the next set. So we have a few different things, so feel free to join us there, but we will close our live stream. Is there anything we want to say?
Bye.
Bazinga. Bye.
Okay. Scary Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
All right.
Goblins. So jumping into Twin Goddess Miniatures wheelhouse.
Is that the real house?
They pretty much just do like goblins.
Fantastic.
Well, they do non-goblins too, but like primarily they do a lot of goblins.
Very goblin-y non-goblins.
Yeah,
we like Twin Goddess. They're cool.
Yeah, I just supported their Bardic Beatdown one.
Yeah, very nice.
Can't wait for that.
Nice.
All of my players have been begging me to like kill off their characters,